Did you know that right now mosquitoes are already breeding in your backyard? And every single spray, every chemical you buy from the store, they only work for a few hours. Then the mosquitoes come right back. But here's what nobody is telling you. There are plants. Simple, beautiful, easy to grow plants that mosquitoes hate with everything they've got. And the old farmers, the Amish communities, the grandmothers who sat on their porches all summer long without a single bug bite, they knew exactly which plants to grow and where to put them. Most people today have completely forgotten this knowledge. But today, right here, right now, I'm going to give it all back to you. Stick with me through this entire video. Because number 7 on our list is something almost nobody talks about, and it might be the most powerful mosquito destroyer of them all. Welcome back to the channel, friends. If you're new here, so glad you found us. This channel is built for everyday backyard gardeners. Whether you've got 10 acres or a tiny apartment patio, we share simple, natural, old-world gardening wisdom that actually works in real life. Today we are talking about 10 plants that destroy mosquitoes. Naturally, beautifully, and permanently. No chemicals. No expensive sprays. No foggers that make your grandkids cough. Just plants. God-given, time-tested, grandma-approved plants. By the end of this video, you're going to know exactly which 10 plants to grow, exactly where to place them around your yard, and the one secret placement trick that old homesteaders used to build what they called a living bug wall around their entire property. So if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that button right now. Because every single week, we share gardening secrets just like this one, and you don't want to miss them. All right, let's get into it. Let's start with one of the most beautiful plants you will ever grow in your backyard, lavender. Now, most people grow lavender because it smells wonderful, and it does. Humans love that smell, but mosquitoes, they absolutely cannot stand it. Here's why this works, and this is important. Lavender produces a natural oil called linalool. That oil attacks the nervous system of mosquitoes and most flying insects. It doesn't just cover up a smell, it actually repels them at the biological level. Old farmers in the 1800s used to hang bundles of dried lavender around doorways and windows. Not for decoration, for protection. Every pioneer woman knew this. It was just common knowledge back then. Here's your pro tip. Don't just plant lavender in a corner somewhere. Plant it in pots and place those pots right next to your seating area. Your porch chairs, your outdoor table, your garden bench. The closer it is to where you sit, the stronger the protection. Lavender grows best in full sun and doesn't need much water. Perfect for seniors and beginners. Low maintenance, high reward. Now, you've probably heard of citronella candles. You may have burned hundreds of them over the years. But here's something most people don't realize. Those candles are just a weak copy of the real thing. The real mosquito fighter is the actual citronella grass plant, also called Cymbopogon yardus. And when you grow the living plant, the protection is 10 times more powerful than any candle you can buy. This is the plant those candles are trying to imitate, and they never quite get it right. Old homesteaders in the American South grew citronella grass along their fence lines and around their garden edges. They called it their first line of defense. Here's your pro tip. Gently rub the leaves with your hand as you walk past. That releases the oil directly into the air around you. It's like activating your own natural shield. Citronella grass grows tall, sometimes 4 to 6 feet. So plant it where it has room. It loves warm weather and does beautifully in large pots if you're working with a small space. This next one is going to surprise you. Basil. Yes, the same basil you put on your pasta and your sandwiches. Most people have no idea that basil is one of the most powerful mosquito-repelling plants in the entire gardening world. Here's what makes basil special. Unlike most plants, basil releases its repelling oils constantly. It doesn't need to be touched or crushed. It just sits there, quietly protecting your space all day long. Researchers have actually studied this. The compounds in basil, especially estragol and linalool, are toxic to mosquito larvae, not just annoying to adult mosquitoes, actually toxic to their young. Your great-grandmother probably kept a pot of basil on her kitchen windowsill and near her back door. She wasn't just cooking with it, she was protecting her family with it. Pro tip, plant basil near your tomatoes too. It repels bugs that attack tomatoes and mosquitoes at the same time. 2 problems. 1 beautiful plant. If there is one plant that old farmers, Amish gardeners, and pioneer homesteaders all agreed on, it was marigolds. Walk through any traditional Amish community garden today, and you will see marigolds planted along every single border. They're not there just because they're pretty, they're there because they work. Marigolds produce a compound called pyrethrum, and this is actually the same compound that many commercial bug sprays are made from, except in the marigold, it's completely natural, completely safe, and completely free once you grow your own. Mosquitoes hate it. So do aphids, whiteflies, and most garden pests. Pro tip here is a real old world secret. Plant marigolds in a ring pattern around your sitting area or garden. Old farmers called this ringing the garden. You create a natural boundary that bugs simply won't cross. And marigolds are one of the easiest flowers you will ever grow. Even if you've never grown anything in your life, you can grow marigolds. Now, we've covered 4 incredible plants so far, and already you have enough to start protecting your yard this weekend. But friends, we are just getting started. Coming up next, plants 5, 6, and 7. And I promise you, number 7 is the one that's going to make you say, I've never heard that before in my life. Don't go anywhere. Part 2 is where it gets really, really good. Welcome back, friends. So far, we've covered 4 incredible mosquito-destroying plants: lavender, citronella grass, basil, and marigolds. And if you haven't started your list yet, go ahead and grab a pen right now. Because what's coming up next is where things get truly fascinating. These next plants are the ones that most modern gardeners have completely forgotten about. But old homesteaders, Amish farmers, and backyard gardeners from the 1800s, they knew these plants like the backs of their hands. Let's keep going. Now I want you to stop for a moment, because this next one is going to genuinely surprise you. Catnip. Yes, the plant your cat goes crazy over. Here's the shocking truth that most people, even experienced gardeners, do not know. A study published by researchers at Iowa State University found that catnip is 10 times more effective at repelling mosquitoes than DEET. 10 times. DEET is the most powerful chemical ingredient in commercial mosquito sprays. The kind that comes with warning labels. The kind you're not supposed to put on children's skin. And this quiet, gentle, easy-to-grow little plant beats it by 10 times. The active compound is called nepetalactone, and mosquitoes experience it almost like a chemical alarm when they detect it in the air. Their instinct tells them to flee immediately. Old Appalachian farmers used to rub fresh catnip leaves directly on their skin before working in the fields at dusk. No spray, no chemicals, just a handful of leaves from the garden. Here's your pro tip. Crush a few catnip leaves and rub them on your wrists and ankles before you sit outside in the evening. You become your own mosquito repellent. Completely natural, completely safe. Just maybe keep it away from the neighbor's cat. If you've ever cooked a roast chicken or a Sunday lamb, you already know rosemary. But what your grandmother knew, and what most people today have completely forgotten, is that rosemary was one of the most trusted protective plants in any serious homestead garden. Rosemary produces a powerful woody oil that mosquitoes, flies, and most biting insects find completely unbearable. When the sun heats up the leaves during a warm afternoon, that oil releases naturally into the surrounding air, creating an invisible protective zone around wherever it's planted. In medieval Europe, long before America was even settled, rosemary was planted around doorways and windows specifically to keep insects out of the home. This was common knowledge for centuries. It wasn't magic. It was practical science that people simply lived by. And here's the old homestead trick that almost nobody uses today. Build a small fire pit or outdoor fireplace near your seating area and toss a few dried rosemary sprigs directly into the fire. The smoke that rosemary produces is extraordinarily effective at clearing mosquitoes from a large outdoor area. Old farmers used this trick at harvest time when they needed to work outside for hours without being eaten alive. It smells absolutely incredible, and it works better than any citronella candle you've ever burned. Pro tip: grow rosemary in a terracotta pot near your grill or fire area, so you always have fresh sprigs within arm's reach. All right, friends. I told you in part 1 that number 7 was going to be the one that surprises you most. Here it is, lemon balm. I'm going to guess that 8 out of 10 people watching this video right now have never heard of lemon balm as a mosquito repellent, and that's exactly why mosquitoes are still winning in most backyards. Lemon balm is a member of the mint family. It grows easily, smells beautiful, like fresh lemons on a warm day, and contains a compound called citronella. Sound familiar? That's the same core compound found in citronella grass, except lemon balm releases it more gently, more consistently, and over a much longer growing season. Here's what makes lemon balm truly special. And this is the old world secret I really want you to hear. Lemon balm was one of the most widely grown medicinal and protective herbs in early American colonial gardens. Every serious homestead had it. It was used to calm nerves, improve sleep, soothe bee stings, and keep the mosquitoes away all summer long. Somewhere between then and now, we forgot about it entirely. We replaced it with plastic bottles full of chemicals. But lemon balm never stopped working. Pro tip: plant lemon balm in containers rather than directly in the ground. It spreads aggressively, like mint, and will take over a garden bed if you let it loose. Keep it in a pot, place it right next to where you sit, and let it do its quiet, powerful work all season long. Here's one more that belongs in every single backyard in America, and it costs almost nothing to grow. Peppermint. Now, most people know peppermint as a flavor: candy canes, tea, toothpaste. But what they don't know is that peppermint is one of nature's most aggressive insect fighters. Mosquitoes hate the menthol oil in peppermint so intensely that they will change their flight path to avoid it, not just avoid landing on it. They will physically reroute themselves away from the area where peppermint is growing. Early American settlers planted peppermint along the edges of their porches and around their outhouse areas, for obvious reasons. It kept the flies and mosquitoes away, and it kept the air smelling clean and fresh at the same time. Here's a pro tip that goes back generations. Mix a handful of crushed peppermint leaves with water in a small spray bottle. Spray it around your outdoor furniture, along your porch railing, and around any standing water areas near your yard. It creates a natural perimeter that mosquitoes will not cross, and peppermint is practically indestructible. Beginners love it. Seniors love it. It grows fast, it spreads happily, and it asks almost nothing from you in return. Friends, we now have 8 powerful plants on our list. 8 plants that have been protecting families for generations, naturally, safely, and beautifully. But I've saved 2 very special ones for the final part of this video. Plant number 9 is one that almost nobody in modern gardening talks about anymore, and it has one of the most fascinating histories of any plant on this entire list. And plant number 10? Plant number 10 is the one I personally recommend to every single beginner gardener I have ever met. It's simple, it's stunning, and it might already be growing somewhere near your home right now without you even realizing it. Part 3 is coming up, and we're going to finish strong. We have been on quite a journey together in this video. 8 powerful, natural, completely chemical-free plants that mosquitoes absolutely cannot stand. Plants that old farmers trusted. Plants that Amish gardeners still grow today. Plants that your great-grandmother probably had growing right outside her back door. And now we come to the final 2. I want you to stay with me all the way to the end, because after plant number 10, I'm going to share something that ties everything together. A placement secret that old homesteaders used to protect their entire property. Something they called the living bug wall. You are not going to want to miss that. Let's finish this. This next plant has one of the most remarkable stories in all of traditional American gardening. Meet American beautyberry, Calocarpa americana. Now, I want you to picture this. It's the late 1800s, deep in the rural American South. Farmers are working long hours in fields thick with mosquitoes and biting flies. They have no sprays, no chemicals, no modern medicine within easy reach. So what did they do? They reached for the beautyberry bush growing wild at the edge of their fields. They would crush the leaves in their hands and rub them directly onto their skin and onto the skin of their horses and mules, because they knew from generations of experience that mosquitoes, deer flies, and ticks would not come near that smell. For a long time, scientists dismissed this as old folk wisdom, just superstition, just something rural people believed without any real basis. Then the United States Department of Agriculture, the USDA, actually studied it, and they confirmed it. The compounds in beautyberry leaves, particularly calocarpinol and intermedial, are genuinely, scientifically effective at repelling mosquitoes, ticks, and biting flies. The old farmers were right all along. They didn't need a laboratory to tell them what worked. They had something better. Generations of lived experience. Here's your pro tip. Plant American beautyberry along the outer edges of your property, along fences, along tree lines, along the borders where your yard meets the wild. This is exactly how old homesteaders used it, as a natural outer barrier, a first line of defense before mosquitoes even reach your garden or your porch. It also produces the most stunning clusters of bright purple berries in the fall, so it protects your yard and looks absolutely magnificent doing it. And here we are. Plant number 10, scented geraniums, specifically the variety known as Citronella geranium or Pelargonium citrosum. Now, I told you this one might already be growing near your home, and here's why. Scented geraniums have been one of the most popular porch and patio plants in America for well over 100 years. Millions of people grow them every single summer. They love their beautiful pink and purple flowers. They love how cheerful they look in a window box or a hanging basket. But most of those people have absolutely no idea they are also sitting inside a natural mosquito-free zone. Scented geraniums release a powerful citrus-like fragrance from their leaves, and that fragrance contains compounds that interfere with a mosquito's ability to locate its target. Mosquitoes find their victims by detecting the carbon dioxide we breathe out and the warmth of our bodies. Scented geraniums essentially confuse and scramble that navigation system. The mosquito gets disoriented. It can't find you, and so it leaves. Your grandmother almost certainly had these on her front porch. She may not have known the science behind it, but she knew that summer evenings on the porch were always more peaceful when her geraniums were in bloom. Pro tip: place scented geraniums in hanging baskets at head height around your seating area because mosquitoes approach from below and at body level. Having the plant releasing its oils right at the height where you're sitting creates the most direct and powerful protective effect. Easy to grow, easy to find at any garden center, beautiful to look at, and one of the most underrated mosquito fighters in the natural gardening world. Alright friends, you now have all 10 plants, but I promised you something special. I promised you the placement secret that old homesteaders used to protect their entire property, not just one corner of the yard. They called it the living bug wall. And here is exactly how it works. The old farmers understood something that modern gardeners have forgotten. One plant in one pot does very little, but when you combine multiple repelling plants in a strategic ring around your outdoor living space, something extraordinary happens. The oils, the compounds, the fragrances from each plant begin to overlap and layer on top of each other. They create something more powerful than any single plant could produce alone, a wall of natural chemical signals that mosquitoes and biting insects simply cannot push through. Here's how to build your own living bug wall, step by simple step. First, plant your tall barrier plants along the outer edges. American beautyberry and citronella grass go here. These are your outer wall. They catch mosquitoes before they even enter your yard. Second, plant your middle layer along your garden beds and pathways. Marigolds, rosemary, and linenbalm go here. These create your middle zone of protection and also make your garden look absolutely beautiful. Third, bring your close contact plants right onto your porch or patio. Lavender, scented geraniums, catnip, peppermint, and basil go here in pots and containers. These create your inner protective circle, the zone where you actually sit, eat, and relax. 3 layers, 3 rings of protection, working together all day and all evening, completely naturally. This is exactly what old homestead families did. Not because someone told them to, but because they learned over generations what actually worked. And it works just as well today as it did in 1850. Friends, let's bring it all together. Today you discovered 10 plants that mosquitoes genuinely hate: lavender, citronella grass, basil, marigolds, catnip, rosemary, lemon balm, peppermint, American beautyberry, and scented geraniums. You learned why they work, not just that they work. Because when you understand the why, you become a smarter, more confident gardener. You learn the old world placement secrets that most modern gardeners have completely forgotten. And you learned how to build your own living bug wall, just like the homesteaders did, to protect your entire outdoor space naturally and beautifully. Now here is my challenge to you this weekend. Pick just one plant from this list, just one. Go to your local garden center, bring it home, and put it somewhere near where you sit outside. That one small step is how every great garden begins. Then come back and tell me in the comments, which plant did you choose? I read every single comment, and I would love to hear from you. If this video gave you something valuable today, something you didn't know before, please share it with a friend or neighbor who loves their garden. You might save them an entire summer of mosquito misery. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do it right now. Every single week, we bring you natural gardening wisdom just like this. Old world secrets, forgotten techniques, and simple practical tips that make a real difference in your backyard and in your life. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end, friends. Now go get your hands in the dirt and take your yard back.